Hi, and welcome to this installment of Bergeron Briefs. For those of you who haven't watched the show before, my name is Art Bergeron. I'm an elder law attorney. I work at Myrick O'Connell. There are 60 of us, 40 in Worcester and 20 in Westboro. Because there are so many of us, everybody gets to do what they kind of really like to do, and I really like to do elder law. And the purpose of these shows is to really supplement, I do some seminars and other things that I do focusing on law, so that you can understand, as a senior who lives here in Northborough, what the issues are and that might really affect you and the people whom you really need to know as a senior. Now, I've had Kelly Burke on before, because she's a person that you already not only need to know, but if you're a senior, you probably already know her. Kelly, thank you very much for coming back.
Thanks for having me, Arthur.
And I this isn't a repeat, you know, of a show that we've done before, right? They've all seen you. But this was really a follow-up on an initiative that you spent a lot of time on over the last year, together with a lot of people here in Northborough. This whole notion of come to be dementia-friendly, this notion of creating a so-called dementia-friendly community. I want you to just talk about that, if you could. I know I've gone to some of the meetings where there have been kind of some presentations of results and stuff. If you could just start off by telling people kind of what you did, and who did it, and then give folks a sense of the results of all that in terms of where you're now going and where you hope to go. That's a nice broad topic.
Exactly.
And then in the second hour, no.
Right. I won't go on that long, but I have to say it's been a great experience. We, of course, got into this because Christine Alessandro, the executive director of BayPath, wanted this initiative to be in a few of her towns in her catchment area. And so we decided...
And that's BayPath Elder Services.
BayPath Elder Services,
Yeah.
that's right. And so, of course, of the 14 towns, she chose the 3 towns of Marlborough, Hudson, and Northborough. They were contiguous, I should say, and they also were very different towns. And she knew all of us directors pretty well. So as we went out to Minnesota, we learned a lot about Act on Alzheimer's.
In September of 2015, so
right.
about 18 months ago, 15 months, something.
Exactly.
Not that long ago. Right?
Not that long ago, but then a lot has happened
Yeah.
in that short amount of time. So we learned a lot, as you know, from being out there in Minnesota, and saw what can be done with this initiative. We got back, I think, all excited, all 3 towns, all 3 directors were very excited. We got to work putting our action team together. Our action team is made up of people from every segment of the community, whether it be retail, government, faith communities, and we were able to represent those areas on our action team. So they were all volunteers from the community, and everybody kind of left their professional hat at the door and really got to what the meat of this project was, is to make Northborough dementia friendly. We got through the survey process, which was great. We got a lot of data from that, and Christine took all of that data and boiled it down to what we needed to learn, what the community needed to know about dementia.
Oh, and by the way, that survey process involved you going out and really surveying, talking to a lot of, about how many people? Did you talk to a lot of people?
It was almost 100 people.
Really across all sectors in the community.
Exactly. And we had great volunteers from high school students on up through seniors that took those surveys out into the community and did a great job. I can't say enough about all the action team members. So like I said, luckily all that data went over to BayPath, and Christine worked on that to tabulate it. And we found that people really wanted to know more about Alzheimer's and dementia. They wanted to also know, what are the resources? Where can we go if we have a loved one that has dementia or Alzheimer's, and what can be done? So the action team then took all of those results and decided to work on a project. Their project that they came up with were rack cards that we're going to put around the community.
And what are rack cards?
They are little like 4x9 cards. They sit in little acrylic holders, and the businesses we really found were the greatest number of surveys came from the business community here in Northborough. They all seemed to be on board. They wanted to help. So we think a lot of those rack cards are going to be at your community dry cleaners or hairdressers, banks,
Yeah.
and also in government offices.
And
So
what,
all
and what's
around
on
the
and what's on
community.
the card?
What's on the card is the amount of people affected by dementia and Alzheimer's right here in Northborough. The statistics are there just for Northborough.
That's great to get people really focused on the reality of it here, right?
Exactly. And how many caregivers? The stats tell us that it's at least 3 caregivers that are needed for every person that has dementia. So it really obviously affects the person, but it really affects family members or caregivers as well. And then on the reverse side of that rack card are a list of resources here in town, Bay Path, in Marlborough, and the Alzheimer's Association. There's a lot of good information out there and a lot of resources for folks that are taking care of somebody with dementia or Alzheimer's.
That's great, because I think so often, I think we both see it, you know, you have clients who are going through this or have a loved one who's going through this, and they're just lost. And there isn't a kind of a, well, there kind of actually is a hotline, the Alzheimer's hotline,
Yeah.
but many people aren't aware of it, you know,
Exactly.
and you just feel like you're stuck. You just kind of don't know where to start, you know.
Right, yeah, and I think that there's a maze of that kind of thing as far as aging in general. So I think any kind of, you know, people have that education and they have that set of resources and they're empowered to do something.
So that sounds like a wonderful thing. And you said there
It
are
was
some
a
other
wonderful
things that are
thing.
also happening regarding.
Yes, our police department had already compiled a form that people can use. They can download it from the police website. We have copies at the Senior Center as well. And it's a short form, an easy form to fill out if you have somebody in your family who does have dementia or Alzheimer's. They ask that you send a photograph, just head and shoulders of that person. And then if there's ever a need where the police need to be involved, maybe a missing person or something like that, they have that information on file. So, you know, the police have been just wonderful through this whole experience. You know, Chief Liver and officers and the lieutenant have been on the action team along with us.
Yeah, and I remember going to one of your meetings, and both the police chief and one of the officers was there.
Yeah.
They were really interested in this project.
Yeah.
And can you kind of talk about from your recollections from the police and the officers, you know, the kinds of issues that they sometimes face? Because I remember just getting the sense they want to be involved in this as much as you do. You know.
They really do. You know, they've seen what it can do. A lot of people on our action team have family members that have been affected, and so they know from a firsthand.
Right.
I'm just thinking somebody from a bank is on the action team, and she sees it with people having, you know, issues maybe with their checking account or some banking issues, and although she doesn't have anybody affected, you know, in her family, she sees it with customers coming in. So I think that everybody has had some kind of an experience, and like I said, the business community and other community members have just been right there, stepping up to the bat to help in any way that they can. So in looking forward, we want to keep this going. You know, the rack cards, we want to put together packets of information. Chief Liver would like the officers that are on walking beats to deliver those to businesses.
Oh, that's a great
for
idea.
us.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think that's going to be wonderful. We also want to be doing some training for every segment, but especially, you know, maybe fire EMTs. The fire chief was, you know, involved in our action team as well. So we'd like to put some of those trainings together. We're getting some grant money to do that so that we can continue that on.
And I suppose for any of those folks who are dealing with folks in high pressure situations, which they are, with the police, the fire, the EMTs, and I know from the conversation I had with one of our police officers over in Marlborough, that they said one of the advantages of just the program you just described is if there's a police stop, right, and they're approaching somebody, and the person has dementia, you know, and a lot of folks who've got dementia and they're out driving, you know, a lot of times they will present in that situation like a person who might be drunk or a person who might have an alcohol problem. But if they go back to the cruiser and it turns out that there's a picture on file and folks can be aware that this is a person who may have some dementia symptoms, it can change the whole way that
Absolutely.
it just changes it,
Right.
right?
Yep.
And the police are just so interested in being, not being heavy-handed about this, but really trying to
Absolutely.
help people.
Yeah. No, it's a great thing. And then
So doing the training,
there's-
that sounds terrific. I've
The
heard
training is
that
gonna be great,
you're also
yeah.
working on a memory cafe?
Yes, exactly. The
Can
library
you just
is,
kind of talk about what that means? What is a memory cafe, and what are
Memory
you doing?
Cafe is something that's really popping up in a lot of communities now. And it's really a place where someone can come with their caregiver and just enjoy. There might be snacks, refreshments. There could be a music or an art program going on as well, because as we know, that really does seem to be something that people hang on to, even though they might have dementia or Alzheimer's there, that music, those lyrics to that song are still there.
Are
So-
unforgettable.
Right.
Right.
And it's really just a place where people can come and be themselves and interact with others who are in the same circumstances. So Chris Lindquist at the library is interested in hosting that at the library. And
That'd be great.
and Carol
That'd be
DiRienzo, who's a member of our action team as well,
Yeah.
is interested in helping getting that going. So they're in the really in the trenches right now, trying to make that become a reality as early as possibly May.
Oh,
of
that's
this year.
great.
So
That's
it's
great.
a
So it would be
thing.
something that would be very local, and it would happen right in that. I suppose you got that great library too. You've got those
Wonderful.
great rooms at
Yes.
the library.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep. Very nice.
I've
And
seen some of those. Right, those are really
I
nice.
think the nice thing too is the coordination, again, between Hudson and Marlborough and Northborough, so that there can be these cafes open on different days and times, so that
Yeah.
people really within a driving, a quick driving time can get to maybe a couple a week, which would be great.
Which would be terrific.
Mm-hmm.
Because so often, is we both find, once again, your tendency, if you've got dementia, or if you're with somebody, if your spouse has got dementia, is to hide.
Mm-hmm.
You're afraid to be embarrassed. You don't want to put your spouse on the spot, right?
Yeah, I
So that-
think
and-
isolation is definitely something that we see that a dementia-friendly community is going to really help with that.
And the notion of being able to go someplace like the library, because it's local, right?
And you know it.
and
You
you
know
know
the
it.
people there, and you're
Right.
comfortable with that.
Right, which is one of the nice things about your library too. I mean, it's a very, very kind of welcoming place when you go in. you
Right.
know. And that idea too of being able to actually go from community to community. I know that well, in Marlborough, that Tammy Pozarica has one at Pleasantries. I know that
Yes.
your counterpart Trish Pope in Marlborough is interested in doing one there.
Exactly.
And there's the discussion of doing it in Hudson. So that's a very exciting. That's
Right.
an exciting possibility.
Yeah, I think that's where this initiative, starting with the two towns in the city,
Yeah.
really was important because of we can do reciprocal programs like this, and it really works.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And so now you've gone through it for a year, right? And,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously that means you've spent a lot of time thinking about this.
Yes.
And I know even from talking to you in the past in your own family, you had some personal experiences
Mm-hmm.
dealing with this issue. Where do you see it going? Where do you see it progressing from there? Because I think you've now got a real core of people who are kind of focused on it, and many of your leaders now really
Yeah.
interested in this issue.
I think it can only go up from here. I think the education, trying to just an awareness of what it is, that's very helpful to a community. And I think getting the resources out there, again, very important. And I think the other interesting aspect is getting the school children involved. So Assabet Valley Technical Vocational School.
The regional school, yeah.
The regional school.
Which includes all three of these communities. right?
Exactly, and they are very interested in becoming a dementia-friendly school. So, how much better can that be if you're learning about this and getting the education about it, growing up or as a teenager, and then working in those fields? It's just going to be better for the community.
That's really terrific. And the notion of really of the restaurateurs of the future,
Mm-hmm.
and the hairdressers of the future, and the plumbers, and
Yeah.
everybody who's dealing with these folks having
Yeah.
some sense of this stuff. I know
Yeah.
I was talking to I was doing another show actually in Westboro, and there was a visiting group from Assabet. It was the guy who does the TV. Who knew? I didn't know that Assabet, they have their own TV studio. And so he's training people to do this. And so they had these kids, and they were talking about this. I said, so of you guys, of you kids, any of you kids experienced this in your family? And it was like a third. There were 9 kids. 3 kids raised their hands.
Right.
Oh yeah, my grandmother, and to give them actually the opportunity to teach some other people about this is just really that's real special. That's real special.
It is.
So listen, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you coming back on. I'm going to encourage you to come on periodically as this thing rolls out, and to encourage these other folks who are involved in this stuff, so that folks in the community can be really seeing this, because I think we've both seen so much of this is just getting people who have dementia, who think they might have dementia, who have a loved one, to be basically saying it's okay to be public about this. This isn't about hiding in your house. It's about, we're all in this.
Right.
So,
and we're going to have a community meeting
Oh,
when we get all of our rack cards printed up
Yeah.
and we have all of our materials for our packets, and we'll have a community meeting so that the community can see what the action team has done, and that'll hopefully inform a few more people, and we'll keep building on it.
That's great. And when do you expect the community meeting? This like April, May, June?
I would say, yes.
Yes?
Yep.
So before the summertime?
Exactly.
That's
We'll
great.
be in the spring.
That's very exciting.
It is
Well,
exciting.
Kelly, thank you very, very much for coming
Thanks,
on.
Arthur.
I hope that this has been educational for you. If you've got any questions, you always know where to find Kelly Burke down at the wonderful the Northborough Senior Center. That's bad, I'm getting old. And in the meantime, thank you very much for joining us for this installment of Bergeron Briefs, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you.